Welcome back to part 2 of Beyond Dimensional Podcast with Liz,
Lori,
and Melissa St. Hilaire. Last we left you, we were wrapping up talks about intuition, learning how to tap into it yourself, even, beyond just speaking to those beyond and using the energies around you to communicate, then also being able to utilize that to communicate within your own body, your own being, and healing others. The whole thing was super, super fascinating. But while we wrapped up talks about your book, we now want to dive into your web series, Secrets of the Craft, and all of your fabulous experience around paranormal investigations. Welcome back. We're so excited. Let's dive in.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me back. So how do I put this? Destigmatize, demystify actual real world practicing witches. Hollywood has sort of glamorized us and demonized us, and it made us out to be like baby eating Satan worshipers, and Satan is a Christian concept. Or they've made us to be like, we'll do a spell to change our hair color or to control others or something. And it's like, that's no. I'm sure that there are, there's always someone doing something, right? But
yeah, dark web shit.
Right. But what I wanted to show is that, witches are just people. I've even had people try to tell me, you're not a witch because witches aren't real. They don't exist. And it's like, I am a witch and I am real. So therefore we do exist.
Yeah.
But
bitch.
Right. At the end of the day, we're just people. It's how we interact with our world, with our universe, with other people. It's, evil or wrong or anything like that. I think of it as the oldest religion. And with some people, witchcraft isn't even religion. It's just a practice that they do, you know what I mean? Like meditating or something as a practice. It's not a religion.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to interview people that I knew and show how they use their craft in their daily lives and how totally normal it is.
Yeah. How totally paranormal it is. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'll be here all day.
Yeah. Wow. We pay extra for that.
Yeah, sorry. It's going to cost you.
But okay, I have to ask, because this is a question I've been asking people and the answers are all over the place. How do you define a witch?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. To me, a witch is a person who takes their life and their fate in their own hands and creates their own destiny using their energy, their spirits, nature, the stars and planets, whatever their modality is, whatever they feel the most connected to.
Mm-hmm.
And they wield the elements to become the best version of themselves.
I love that. That's a great explanation. And I think taking that, right, at face value of exactly what you said totally sums up what it is in my mind, how I understand it. But it's so not, to your point, Hollywood. It's so not what people think. Every time we talk about being a witch, Liz and I will joke and I'll say, I'm a witch and, whatever. And people are like, oh my God, wow, What is wrong with you?
Because they're expecting you to go and ride away on your magical bicycle.
Yeah, let me pluck your hair for a little spell later, or take a DNA sample. It's bizarre. I think that's such a great way to explain it and makes so much sense and is relatable. How many people listening to that explanation going, oh yeah, I do that. Oh, I want to do that. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Controlling your own fate. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want a part of that, right? And in a lot of ways, that is what Christianity and other religions sell, is you're controlling your fate, whether it's here or in the afterlife, by following certain prophets, disciples, words, whatever the hell, they want to call it, whatever package it's in. But I love that. So thank you for that description. And I know Liz has been dying. She literally is sending me this, shut the fuck up. Can we talk about the paranormal stuff now? Stop talking, Lori. I want to hear about the shit I want to hear about. I know her so well. I can read her from the next room very easily. So, okay, we got to talk about ghost hunting and some of your experiences there, because I'm fascinated by ghost hunting. Number one, I don't see ghosts. So I joke, I see dead people, but I see dead people in a different way. I don't see them visually. They're not floating by me. Like my mom sees dead people that way. My mom sees them visually, the spirits and the things. I don't have that. Everything for me is a download in my brain. I can feel energy. I can interpret the energy, but I'm not seeing them there. They don't scare me in any way. I believe in it because I know it's there, but I don't have that type of direct experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're not Haley Joel Osment.
Right. I've seen now, okay, one time I saw a ghost. I'm going to just tell you this quick story. The one time I can remember seeing a ghost literally in what we think a ghost is. We're living in this house in the middle of nowhere in Washington State. So we were all sleeping in this living room. My mom and her friend were in this bedroom, and the bedroom was right across the hall from the bathroom. So, I'm going to pee 95 times a night. It always happens. I'm going to get up and go to the bathroom. So I was coming out of the bathroom and I looked right in and I could see, I shit you not, and it's my only memory of a live ghost visually. I could see a woman plain as day, white shadow, the whole thing sitting on the edge of the bed and looking down at my mom's friend. I am not kidding. The next day we found her gravestone in the backyard and I almost had a fucking heart attack. I was like 12 years old. I'm freaking out. My mom was like, God, please don't tell me I'm going to be seeing this shit now that you mentioned it. I'm going to be seeing her everywhere. Shut the fuck up, right? I'm like, I swear. That is the only time. I didn't talk to her. That is all I got. Moral of the story is I'm so excited to hear more about how this works for you. And I have to join you on one of these ghost hunts. I got to see how this works. And I'm hoping I can find a way to connect in that way without being haunted. Because I also have fear of weird shit showing up at the end of my bed at night. But that's another story. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll have to get into like how you go interact with them and then leave them where they are. Like,
yeah. That's
bye.
You stay. I'm leaving. Please don't follow me. I'm not interested. This is not a homeless shelter that I live in. Thank you. They're for the wayward ghosts. Anyway,
because they will follow you home. I will say that they will. Especially the shiny you are, and like I use shiny and sparkly to describe people whose clairvoyance and abilities are a little bit like brighter than
I recall.
Others, right? Yes, you're shiny.
I recall.
And if you have that shininess, the spirits are like, she could see me or hear me or experience me, so I'm gonna go hang out with her, because they just want to be acknowledged, So yeah, they will take you home. So you do have to be, practice like energetic clearings and things like that, like so I do this thing and I teach it to all my students where I have them create sort of like protective bubble of light.
Yep.
And I have them sort of pull up grounding earth energies up through their bodies and sort of mingle in their center, and then pull down the celestial and spiritual energies and mingle in their center to create sort of like a fulcrum. So you're just like a balance, as above, so below, as without, so within. And then you sort of envision this like divine bubble of light around you, and you're protected in that light. And now this is not something I created. This is something that people have been doing for eons. This is an old, tried and true thing that we do. Everyone, like every practitioner, just kind of puts their own spin on it, but we all do the same thing. Have this bubble of light. So before I go into a haunted location, I imagine that, I create that to sort of have my little shield, but I make sure to make it be a two-way street. I still want to keep my sight open and my abilities open, so I don't put up like a wall like I do before I go to sleep at night. When I go to bed, I'm like, all right, everybody out. I want to sleep. Stop,
Yeah.
But when it's when I'm doing the hunting, I do that, and I will reinforce it with crystals. I use different ones for that. Like I'll have I do carry moldavite and Libyan desert glass and Lemurian, but that's could like boost things, But then I bring amethyst for psychic protection. There's another kind of amethyst. I'm like blanking on what it's called. I want to say something like Aura 23 or something like that, but it's an amethyst that has a bunch of other properties to it that a friend gifted me, and I bring that with me because it's supposed to be like amethyst plus for protection.
Wow. Okay.
So there's like different things that you can do like that.
Really briefly, and I'm sure we could do a whole episode on crystals, and we probably will, but stay tuned. Just really briefly, the purpose of crystals, the importance of crystals, the use of them, is this based on, and I'm just trying to piece it together in my mind, a like energetic frequency that they have from where they were created in the earth? Is that what that's about?
Yeah, it's a combination of where they were created and their properties that they carry. And the idea is because everything is energy, I'm energy, you're energy. Crystals are like sweetened condensed energy. You know what I mean? And
Oh, cute.
so say I'm really depressed because something has happened and I'm sad and I'm just down or whatever. And I go and I pick up a rose quartz and I will instantly like hold it to my heart. I will instantly start to feel better because the property of the rose quartz is love, particularly self-love. It heals your heart from grief and things like that. And so because that crystal ball or piece of crystal is vibrating with that energy, when I hold it to myself, its energy is then sort of combining with my energy and affecting my energy and changing my energy. Now, the crystal can also take on the energy of grief and things like that, that whatever energy I'm trying to get rid of can kind of flow into the crystal. That's why we cleanse crystals. That's why we put them in sunlight or the moonlight or in a selenite bowl or salt water or whatever means someone uses to cleanse their crystals. Is to sort of remove any of the negative energies that it has absorbed away from us.
Oh my gosh, I literally go down a rabbit hole. Thank you. That was a really good kind of simple understanding for my pea brain to grab onto for the moment. Okay.
Me too.
Go.
So with ghosts, I wanted to share, because you shared ghost stories. I wanted to share. I have so many. I can't share all of them. We'd be here for all day. But I have this one ghost story that I'd love to share because it happened before I was like out as a medium and like really started to I had really like trained. I was reading but not full blown.
Yep.
I wouldn't tell anybody I was a medium. So I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Koreatown in Los Angeles, and we were on the first floor, and right outside our bedroom and bathroom wall was the pool. And right next to the pool, there was this like weird little box, and this was right outside of our bathroom wall. There was like a square thing. It looked like it should be a hot tub, but it was all boarded over. And, my husband and I'd be like, was that a hot tub? Why does this got boards on it now? This is stupid. It would be so awesome to have a hot tub in our apartment building. Like, how cool is that?
Hell yeah.
So we were kind of bummed about it. And then after a while of being there, I started to notice that I would periodically see a blur out of the corner of my eye. And like if I looked directly at it, it would vanish. But if I was looking this way, I could like see it over here in like my peripheral vision. And I want to say it was like 4-ish feet tall. And it was dark at the top and then kind of like neutral or I don't know, tan maybe color here. And then like a beigey tan, and then there was like a red spot, and then more tan. And I'd be like, what is that? Like, what do I keep seeing? Like, am I losing my mind? Do I need to like go to a doctor? Like, what's going on? And I would notice sort of a recurring pattern to it. My husband, he loves cartoons. I mean, I do too, but he has the Saturday morning, I'm not working, I'm going to get up and have my coffee and watch cartoons kind of tradition.
As any adult male does.
Yeah.
I have a husband too. I swear to God, that's exactly right.
And I promote it because he makes him happy. It's like, yay, go do your thing,
Have fun.
100%. Give him peace so you can have peace.
Right. I'll be over here playing video games while you're watching your cartoon. We're both giant children. But so where the couch was, like you'd walk, if you were outside by the pool and walked through the wall, you'd walk through the bathroom wall, down the hallway, and then into the living room, and you just have to turn just a little bit, and you would be in the spot on the couch where he would sit, and then the cartoons would be across from him. And I started to notice that when I would see the blur, I would also kind of feel like a cold spot near where my husband was sitting. And because sometimes I'd be sitting next to him on the couch. And I was like, well, that's odd. And there's no vent there. You know what I mean? So one day this had been going on for, I don't know, years. One day I was like, my husband's sitting next to me, I'm sitting here, and I just go, I'm like, I have to ask you a question. And now, mind you, I have to premise, he was like an atheist slash Buddhist, like, doesn't believe in any of this stuff. He doesn't like poo-poo it or ridicule anybody that does. He just personally hadn't really experienced it, so he didn't really believe it.
Yep.
And so anyway, so I just turn to him and I go, I'm like, I need to ask you a question, and I might sound completely out of my mind, and that's okay. But I'm like, do you think it's a little boy that like comes in here and like sits down and like watches cartoons with you? And he just turns his head so slowly with huge eyes and looks at me and goes, you see him too?
Oh my God.
Okay, yay. Okay, so we're either both bananas or it's real,
Wait, I have so many questions. First of all, I mean, your husband is, as someone who's like a non-believer, but you are someone who's super attuned. Did he go, fuck, like I think I got some powers? Like, did that
rubbing off.
manifest?
Yeah.
Right? You're rubbing off.
Totally. He was totally rubbed off on him. Now he's got a sigil tattooed on him.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
So he's more into I'm more into like nature magic, but I do practice a little ceremonial magic. He's very into the ceremonial magic and the sigils and all that stuff.
So this changed him. This turned him
totally changed him.
the other direction.
This gives a whole new meaning to hot tub time machine. I'm just saying.
Well, there's more. So
okay, tell us.
This for a while, and during this time, my friend Amy was still alive, and so I told her about it, and she was like, he's stuck. He died, and now he's stuck. You can help him ascend. And I was like, I can. That's a thing that we can do. Like, okay. So she told me this whole little ritual to do, but I was kind of like almost afraid to do it, so I didn't do it for a while. I actually didn't end up doing it until after she passed, because I kind of like was, I don't know, nervous and wasn't sure. And also I was like, do I have the right to do this? Like, but then, and also I was like, I still was grappling with, is it real? Because honestly, I know I don't sound like it, but I honestly am a skeptic at heart. It's not until I experience something that I'm like, okay, now I can check real, So there was a neighbor who was moving out, an older gentleman, and he was selling some of his stuff. And he invited us, myself and my husband, into his place to see if we wanted to buy any of his stuff. It was like workout equipment and art and whatnot. And we just start chatting with him, and he had lived there since late 1960s or something. So he'd been there for a long time. And he was like, yeah, this place used to be swinging. There were parties all the time. He's like, that boarded up thing, that used to be a hot tub, and it was awesome. But, they had to board that over when that kid died. And we were like, nope. Wait, what? And he goes, yeah. He's like, yeah, there was a party. And he's like, there was this young kid who got into the hot tub, and his swim trunks got stuck on like the intake valve. And he was like, the parents were trying to pull him out, but they didn't. Everyone was so drunk, it didn't occur to anybody to just turn it off, and he would have popped up. So, and they just took too long to try to get him out. And the poor kid lost his life. And I was like, did he have dark hair and red swim trunks? And the guy goes, oh, you've heard this story. And I was like, yeah.
You're like, no, he watches cartoons with my husband.
Yeah, we know him. Like he chills at my house. We just hang out.
We babysit.
Yeah.
Totally. So that was like, even though I had seen stuff before, I had experienced the stuff my whole life. I'd seen apparitions. I had nightmares as a child that I thought were nightmares, but I was wide awake because stuff was like looking over at me. But like every adult would be like, it's not real. It's your imagination. You're just blah, blah, blah. It wasn't until like at this moment where I was like, this is actually almost immediately validated. Like this is confirmed.
Yep.
And then a friend of mine and I, who I no longer practice with because we kind of like went divergent paths, but for a brief period of time, we were in a coven together, and I had been talking to her about, I want to do ghost hunts. Like, this is so cool. And she's like, oh, I'm game. Let's go. Let's do it. See what happens. So we went to this mausoleum, and it's nearby where I live. So we went to this mausoleum, and we didn't tell them like that's what we were doing. We just
Yeah. Showed up.
Now I get a permit and I make it official because now I know better. But so we just showed up and we had some cameras and stuff, just little dinky things, and we kind of did a couple of photos, like we were just posing, like. And then we walk up these stairs to this other area, and there's like this one spot where there's no lights. It's just dark in that spot. And I even look up, and where there had been a light, there's just like wires hanging out. And I'm like, this is weird. I'm getting a vibe here. And she's like, you're feeling something? I'm like, absolutely feeling something. So she's like, see if you can ask questions or whatever. So I'm trying to ask who's here, and I hear very clearly, Elizabeth.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm like, okay, so let's see if we can find her plaque. So we go forward in the dark nook. Of course, I had to be in the one with no good lighting.
Of course.
And I see Elizabeth in all caps, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is Elizabeth. This is the person. And
that bitch.
So we're like, what do we do? Like, and I get this sense that she likes the dark, so she keeps making the light go out. And so I ask, and I go, can we take some pictures of you, like, to try to see if we can catch your essence on film? And she says, yes, but no flash. And I'm like, okay. So I take a couple of pictures. Well, my friend at the time, I don't know if she didn't realize her camera was going to flash, or if she was trying to provoke, or what she was doing, but she flashed.
Uh-oh.
And immediately we heard a noise. It was like we were plunged in darkness for a second. And there was this sense of like, get out. Like
no. Yeah. Elizabeth had enough. She's like, get out.
Totally. And she felt someone like touch her, like pull her skirt. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go. So she goes ahead of me. She hightails it down the stairs away. I'm behind her. I go to step on the stairs, and I get pushed from behind. Thankfully, it was the kind of stairs that kind of do like a turn. So I didn't go far, and I kind of just went splat into the wall, like on the first little landing, but fully got pushed. I turn around, there's nobody there.
What? Oh, she's pissed off. She doesn't understand that it wasn't your fault. She's picking on the wrong person.
Totally pissed off. Thought that I had betrayed her trust when I had said no problem.
Oh.
So at that moment taught me a lot. And
wow, that is wild.
Right? It taught me a lot, but also like, I don't know, I like got bitten by the bug, and I was like, I want to do more of this.
Yeah. That happened to me. I'd be like, absolutely not, Laura, you're crazy. I don't want to do this anymore. You're on your own. Bye. Because it'd be Laura that's driving my ass over there. She'd be like, go in. I'd be like, absolutely fucking not, because I'm going to be the one that's going to be pushed down the stairs, and you're going to be like, come on, see it. And I'd be like, I'm fucking getting pushed around by ghosts. I'm out.
Awesome. No. I thought it was this. So fast forward from that time, right? We're in the pandemic. Everyone's losing their mind because it's during the lockdown. And I was asked by Darren Lynn Bousman. He's a filmmaker. He did Repo, the Genetic Opera, and he did the most recent Saw with Spiral with and anyway, he's done a lot of cool stuff. And I was actually like a huge fan of him before this happened, and I had met him years ago. I went to a signing. I never told him that. I was doing this little project with him. I never was like, oh my God, I was a huge fan, because I don't know, I couldn't. But he was doing this thing on Clubhouse, because that was all the rage. And he basically wanted people to call in and like share ghost stories, but he wanted an expert medium. So he had his assistant basically find me. And so I went on, and I think they kind of test me, because there were a couple of times when people told stories where I was like, that's not a ghost, that's just a person.
Yeah.
And I just, because they kept having me come back. And that's how I met like Tori Spelling on that, and like Perez Hilton. It was really crazy.
Oh my gosh. That's
really
fun.
Crazy. But the coolest person I found that was Susan Slaughter, and we bonded because she shared something about how she feels like her intuition kind of reaches out like tendrils or feelers or whatever. And I totally validated her, and I was like, yes, that is totally what happens to me too. That's so cool. And so they were trying to figure out how do they keep doing investigations. So her and Jay Blumke, and I forget who else now, but they created this thing called the Dark Zone, where it would be like a live streaming thing that we could do and people could watch from home and, pick $5 or whatever. So it's really affordable. And just like a fun way to continue to do the stuff that we're doing and reach people. She's like, oh, I want you to come out and do a paranormal investigation. And I was like, oh my God, finally, I've done them on my own, but like, this is like a real investigation. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that it was being live streamed. I wasn't even thinking about what my role would be in it. I thought I would be like, I vaguely thought about it. Like, I thought I would be like, holding an EMF detector in the background or something.
Yeah.
So it'll be like, I'll just be one of the Ghostbusters. I'm fine. And so they were like, we're not going to tell you the location because we want you to come in to like intuit everything. And so you don't know any background. I'm like, I love that. That's perfect. That's how I want to operate. So right before I go, I sat down and I meditated and I was like, let me see if I can figure out where I'm going. I'm like, I'm a medium. I'm a psychic. Like, can I figure it out? Like, this is what I should be able to do. So I sat there and I tried to envision it, and I kept getting jail cells, and I kept getting a woman murdered and lying on the floor in blood, or a person at least. Like, I was like, okay, so I don't know, where am I going? So when I show up to the place, it's the Los Angeles Police Museum, and I was like, oh, okay, so I guess the jail cell and the murder victim makes sense. I go inside, Susan grabs me and puts me right in front of the cameras, and I've got like 5 cameras on me, all these lights in my eyes. I'm standing next to the host. So Susan's an old hat at this. She's a pro on camera fun. She can nail this stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought I was part of the team. And she's like, no. She's like, you're the star of the show. We're just gonna fuck you. And I'm like, what?
You're like, you're not just gonna have me in the back and like consult me?
Yeah.
I know, I'm freaking out. But very quickly, this voice in the back of my head was like, calm down, Melissa. It's not about you. It's not about ego. Just forget yourself and focus on the spirits. Focus on what you get. That's your driving force. And so she's like, how do you want to start the show? How do we introduce her? And I told her how I did this little exercise beforehand. And she's like, great, share that on camera. And I was like, okay. So they start rolling, and I tell her how I did this meditation and how I saw jail cells. She lights up like a Christmas tree, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic, because this is not just a museum. It also used to be like a working police station, and there are jail cells right back here.
Oh my gosh.
And so we kind of kept doing that everywhere we went. It would just be like, I would get a feeling, or I would hear something, or get a buzzing, or see something. We would go to where I sort of felt the entity. And then all the gadget people would come out with all the ding, 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 but, all of the tools to sort of like see if they could get evidence of whatever it was I was intuiting with my body. And that taught me like my role in an investigation. Because when I grew up watching this stuff, they didn't have mediums and psychics on. It was just guys and gadgets,
Yeah.
Like they can use me as a tool. Like I'm a human,
Gadget.
Right? Like I totally, I love this. And I love kind of being, I know it sounds weird to say I'm used in that way. They're using me like a tool, but I actually really love it.
Cool.
I thought it was cool because what it did for me is it validated my own feeling. We were in one room and I was like, oh, I'm getting murder. I'm getting also a name that starts with an M. I'm getting, I don't know what else. So then they start doing the EV and they pick up a voice saying knife and murder, and Margaret was the name. And
oh my God.
And what was weird was I didn't get the full Margaret. I was like, it's Mar something, it's Mary. And we're like, yeah, we got like almost Margaret, but not quite. Then like way later on, what's the one with Zach Baggett? Ghost Adventures.
Yep.
They went to that same location and they were like, yeah, we heard the story that there's someone here with an M name who killed herself or murdered somebody or did something. There was some kind of murder involved. He did the research and validated it that there was a woman named Margaret who did something there. Yeah.
That's
and
wild.
So I was like, oh my gosh, I've been validated. I mean, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know that he was validating me, but it doesn't matter. I know. That's all that matters. And then at another point, there was this long, skinny, dark hallway, and I was just immediately drawn to it because it just had the spookiest vibes you can possibly imagine. And so I'm walking.
As they do.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a storage hallway, but it used to be a practicing range. That's why it's long and skinny. So I'm drawn down it. I walk all the way down. I get towards the end, and I just go through this wall of energy. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling something. And so they stop, and they're all getting their gadgets out. And I go, in fact, I would not be surprised if someone heard the words "get out" down here, because that's
Ooh.
getting. So the producer, Jay, is like, hold on. And he like has a headset, and they have HQ somewhere else. So all the people who were there didn't have all of the history about the place, because just in case my psychic ability could read their minds. So they had HQ someplace else, people I don't know, in a location I wasn't aware of, who had all of the history and the facts. And so they wired into them, and they heard back that they did in fact have a story of a police officer ages ago who walked down that hallway, saw an apparition, and the apparition said, "Get out."
No.
And I was like,
Crazy.
yeah, it was so awesome. Like if they play the highlight reel of my life, this moment was on it. You know what I mean? It was one of the coolest things I've ever done. And I got bit by the bug at that point. I was like, I need to keep doing this. Anybody who wants to do a ghost hunt, if you need a medium on hand, I will be there.
Volunteer to go.
I love that. And and we talk about this a lot. So Liz, I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but this is another way that we can validate that this shit is real, because I always had this problem. Like you said, I'm not a faith-based human being. So when these things would happen to me, I'd be like, okay, I'm schizophrenic. I'm losing my fucking mind. My brain needs to be examined. And then stuff would happen. You're like, wait, how did I know that? There's no way I could have known that. And so that's where the validation comes in. And to your point, like continuing to do it and having that validation helps like everyone understand, especially when you have a global large stage, right, where people are seeing it on television or you're interacting with groups of like, this is not stuff we just made up. We're not storytellers here. There's legitimate like facts and evidence to what we're doing. Now, of course, there are people that make up stories and it's not all real for everyone. And, there's that, right? But there are people that can literally validate, and maybe it's not science measured, in some scientific way, but there's evidence of reality, right?
And not only that, but there's a feeling in the room. So I have been to seances, both that I've hosted and that other people have hosted, where someone at the table is lying. Because sometimes people, they just get jealous, they want attention, so they start to make up like, oh, I'm seeing a ghost now too. And you can almost always tell when it's fake, because first of all, when it's sort of like a lying situation, there's almost too many details. Like they see them too clearly. Yeah. And I remember being at this one seance where I smelled roses, and I was like, oh my gosh, I smell roses. Does anyone else smell it? And everyone else was like, oh my God, me too. And that's a good sign that it's a real phenomenon, because other people are experiencing it, and you can tell when they're honestly experiencing it because they look shocked. Yeah. It's not like yeah, I smell it too. It's like, oh my God, I totally do too. I thought it was
You're right.
Lori, to speak to you, because I see apparitions like outside of me, but also I get the downloads. I get I call it like an inner vision or a mind's eye. Like I see it in my mind as well. And so sometimes I'll share, whether it's in or out, I'll share like, oh, I'm this one seance I was at, I looked the woman across from me. There was a man standing behind her, and he had like silver hair and like a little goatee type thing. And I described this person to her, and she was like, I know that person. He's not dead. So that's really weird. Or a week later, she called me and she was like, I just wanted to let you know that my friend, the person that you saw, I didn't know it, but he had just passed away. And she was like, that was you totally accurate. You saw him. He had just died, but I hadn't gotten notified yet. So you can tell when it's real, because there's a real shock and an awe kind of thing that happens, and a confusion almost. That's all I got. I just got silver hair and a goatee. I couldn't tell you what color his eyes were. I couldn't even tell you what color his skin was, because you don't see it that clearly. I mean, maybe every once in a while, a blue moon, a person is going to get like a super clear, but usually it's just little fragments of something. It's little glimpses, like a shifting watercolor painting or something.
Right. It's almost like there is something about it that to the person listening sounds like it's wrong or inaccurate. So you're like, they're almost questioning if you're real because you're getting things that you're like, I don't know why I'm getting these things. It just is what it is until they manifest. Sometimes it's in that moment and you're seeing something, but sometimes you're getting other things because you're just allowing a bunch of stuff to come in and you're like, you decipher that. I don't know. This is your thing. Yeah. You tell me why I'm seeing that. I have no idea why I'm seeing it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the other thing is I never know why I'm seeing what I'm seeing until I share it. And then someone is like, well, okay, well, that's my grandma's favorite color or whatever. Well, this one time we did a seance and this one person, you could tell that they were getting really, really uncomfortable not being like the center of attention. And so they started to go, wait, I'm getting something. It's a woman. Brown hair, tied back in a bun. And she has this particular dress on. And this is what and behind her, there's a window with curtains. And I can see out the window. And I can see into the distance. And I mean, it was so ridiculously overly detailed and fantastical. And we're all sitting there going, I'm not getting that. I'm not seeing that. Which is not to say, I mean, okay, yeah, granted, there could be someone at the table who's getting something that other people aren't getting because they're just tuned in more so to that particular frequency. So I don't want to
like
discount.
that.
But this was just way over the top, way ridiculous.
Yeah, making a mockery of the entire situation. Just like,
totally.
Come on.
That happened. There are fakers,
It's for me, I'll be reading someone and I'll be like, I don't know why I'm seeing a little schoolhouse that's white, but it's a candy store. And I don't understand. Oh, that's my mom. Her name's Candy. And she grew up. And I'm like, okay, I don't see Candy in her brown hair and her wig. And you made me think of this when you're talking about visual, literally out of body versus download. When I communicate, it's all downloaded in my brain and the conversation is that way. It's not this way. If that makes sense. Yes. But I can see them a lot clearer. Different than, and this is what my mom describes when she sees visually, where you're saying, a little bit of this or a little bit, and you can't really make it out. But when I see it downloaded and I'm communicating, it's a lot more clear to where I could probably describe them fairly well.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
I would agree. Yeah. The outside the eye sort of like real world manifestation or apparitions or whatever, they're kind of almost like
blurry,
semi-translucent, blurry, ghostly, like but yeah, when it's in the mind, that's when I get the really clear picture.
Yes, that's what happens to me. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, random question. Have you been to Winchester Mystery House?
I have, yeah.
Okay, I got to take Liz there. She hasn't been. We're planning it. But I took a friend there. When did I take Adam? A year ago on his birthday?
At least a year ago, yeah.
I don't know, but that was one of the clearest communications I ever had.
Oh,
I really want to ghost hunt there. I've been there twice, but as like just a tourist, and the first time I went, I was either 12 turning 13 or 11 turning 12 because I had a California trip with my dad and other family members and they were like, well, what if you could pick one thing, because we're going to go be in the San Jose area. They were like, if you could pick one thing to do in this area, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to go to the Sarah Winchester Mystery House. Are you kidding me? That's my one thing.
Yeah.
And I even, as a kid, as a preteen, I was like walking through and I was like, oh, I could feel it. You know what I mean? Like, from that place is filled with entities.
So cool.
And, like there was, I don't know if it's true or not, because there's been so many times that I've heard different stories, but the one story was that she had built the place in a particular way to sort of scare the spirits or whatever.
Yes.
Almost like what ended up happening is that they're sort of trapped there. It's like she made a giant spirit trap.
Yeah.
I definitely felt it when I was a kid. And then when I went back a few years ago, I did a tour and we paid extra to see the basement and attic.
That's what I did.
And that's where I felt even more stuff.
Yes.
Like I saw a full-blown apparition in the basement. And I was one of those, like, did anyone else? I just saw somebody like pushing a cart. Like, why would there be a dude down here pushing a cart? And I don't remember now what the reason was, but the leader was like, oh, yeah, they're doing some maybe with coal or something. I don't know, but like, what the heck are you doing? But Yeah, but I was like, oh my God, okay, all right.
I saw
Like,
that
this
guy
place-
So
too.
crazy. That's so
Saw
funny.
that guy. He was the guy. Yes, he was the guy. That's why I'm like freaking out. We can ask Adam, Liz, because he was with me. I'm like, the guy is here and he keeps filling the fireplace. Who is this guy? And then we went into her bedroom and I started hyperventilating. And I was like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I'm telling Adam, my friend, this. The guy's like, this is the room when the earthquake happened. Sarah was in the room. She got trapped and she couldn't find a way to get out. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get out of this room because I can feel how she felt in that moment and I can't breathe.
Oh my God.
Totally.
Well,
Oh my
it
God.
sounds like I need to watch both of you at this house.
Okay,
So we
gotta
have
do
to
it.
make this happen.
It would be so cool if we could do like an after hours ghost hunt at Winchester.
Yes. Yes.
I am down. Let's do a after hours sleepover ghost hunt.
Oh, sleepover? Girl,
Can
I
you
don't know about
imagine?
that. I don't know
Liz
about
would be
that.
like, oh my God, get me the fuck out of here.
I'd be in between both of you. You'd be like sandwich and snuggle me tight. I'd be like, nope, you have to pee. I don't care. We're going together. We're going to hold hands. That's it. Sorry, bitches. That's it.
We're gonna manifest though. We're gonna make this happen. I'll bring my friend Cheryl, audio extraordinaire.
Oh
so
my gosh.
Best part 3 ever is going to be the Winchester ghost hunt. I'm manifesting it too. We're going to put it out there,
Guys,
because that'll be amazing.
I'm so stoked on this. Like, I'm just like, let's go plan it right now. This
Yes.
was so much fun, Melissa. Oh my gosh. I could
best.
literally keep talking to you forever. Partly I have to pee. Sorry, audience. This is the best way to end it because now we have a part 3. Stay tuned, everybody.
Oh,
And I need to hear more about seances. Like, there's just so much shit we have to cover because you have a lot of gifts, man. You do a lot of stuff. You're a busy woman. But thank you so much for being here. This was so awesome. Her web series, Secrets of the Craft. You have to check it out. Where can we find that? First of all,
that is on YouTube on Dead Air Full Spectrum. And if you go to my website, which is www.americanwitch13 or 13.com, that's sort of the hub to like get to all the things you can find about my book there, about the series. I'm also on social media on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Threads as American Witch 13.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. You are truly an incredibly cool, talented, gifted human.
Thank you, Lori and Liz. I really have enjoyed this so much. Thank you.